So, it looks like old Freezy Pop's here back to try and woo us again in Super. Hey guys, MasterCoX here. Now that Frieza's back in the Dragon Ball Super fold for the second time, and that it looks like he's going to be staying here during the duration of the Universe Survival arc, it's now safe to speculate as to why he's even there. Of course, you would just be expecting me to just say marketing for 10 minutes and then just call it a day and that would be a good video. And indeed, you would be right to some degree. But I'm actually going to be a little bit more rational today and try and come up with something that's a little more compelling and a bit more wordy. Why exactly has Frieza returned to Dragon Ball for the billionth time? Because Frieza making a comeback is nothing new in Dragon Ball. In fact, if you count the movie Fusion Reborn and the special plan to eradicate the Saiyans, Frieza has made 5 reintroductions ever since he was first debuted in Dragon Ball Z around episode 44. His first comeback was in episode 118 as Mecha Frieza. More powerful than ever, he and his father King Cold had found Earth and they were prepared to bask in its destruction. They would be there for when Goku gets back and revel in his despair and anger after killing all his friends. Sadly though, that plan never materialized because Trunks came along with his trusty blade and cut some fools up. Then we had Fusion Reborn when hell literally broke loose and Frieza returned to life with all of his men. And that was actually kind of a mini Resurrection F if you think about it. Frieza and his men attacked Gohan, but it was all for naught because Gohan was able to end Frieza's life again in a single punch when he made a beeline directly for the Tyrant. Hardly a comeback he'd like to remember. Then of course we had the Resurrection F movie and the Resurrection F TV arc, where we saw Frieza's minion Sorbet bring Frieza back to life with the Earth Dragon Balls to try and take down Goku and Vegeta one more time. For realsies, I tell ya. No lavender-haired brats to get in the way here. This led to the introduction of Golden Frieza, as we know. Frieza succumbed to the thing he'd succumbed to before. Terrible power management. But since episode 93 of Super though, it seems like he's managed to get that problem under control. Does that make Frieza more perilous than ever? I think so. So why did Toriyama want to bring Frieza back in Super or even in Resurrection F? Well, there is a simple quote, and it is just pure Toriyama. Once I had decided on bringing Frieza back, it was relatively easy writing the story since his character was already developed. The battle with the huge horde of enemies would have been a pain in the neck if I were drawing it myself in a manga, but I guess I dodged that bullet. Things like that were a real lifesaver. Thanks to Frieza's voice actor, his characterization is even better in the film. Put simply, it was convenient. Toriyama had a fully fleshed out character, tons of artistic references, a very capable voice actor in Ryusei Nakao, as well as a strong fan following all across the world. As far as Toriyama was concerned, making a movie with Frieza as the main antagonist was just a no-brainer. It could just easily be done, he wouldn't have to do any thinking. Yeah, this guy, they know this guy, so why come up with a new baddie when you could just use the same baddie time and time again and people will still come to the cinemas for it? Speaking of Ryusei Nakao, his portrayal of Frieza is something that fans of the original Japanese dub and its detractors can get behind. It's hella good. There's just something about his eloquent presentation mixed with his barbaric nature that just makes the character horrifying. And we were reminded of that in earnest in Dragon Ball Super episode 95. Despite being a little low on the blood count, it was way up there in terms of implication of violence. In a 2004 interview, Ryusei Nakao talked about why he loved playing Frieza, how he portrayed the character, and what he actually saw in the Galactic Emperor. My impression when I saw the illustration was the old nobleman standby from historical dramas. His appearance is of elegant refinement, but he is high-handed and intolerable. I associated my image of his voice with that aspect. As the story progressed, perhaps the scriptwriters also sensed it, as I was happy to find that the sort of lines I'd imagined gradually increased. I liked playing people who have a lot of flaws. It varies with the person, but all people have some flaws, and they live while hiding them, right? For me, finding those flaws is part of making the role. The bigger the flaw, the more evident their individuality, and the character becomes more interesting. In Frieza's case, I think what throws his flaws into sharpest relief is probably Goku. Goku possesses the depth of emotion that Frieza is lacking in. So I thought, Frieza is envious in the face of back Goku, so he stubbornly clings onto the notion that Goku is a being of lesser strength than him. So essentially, Nakao saw that Frieza's destiny was entwined with Goku's. Little did he know that he would be back to work at the TV anime working double time now that he's playing Frost, Frieza's counterpart in Universe 6, as well as playing Frieza in a movie and another arc. And now, yet another arc. When I saw Frieza in the Resurrection F movie, my heart was pumping a mile a minute. I don't know whether it was the impact of seeing Dragon Ball Z in the cinema, or whether we were actually seeing Frieza back with a slick presentation and very gorgeous animation, as well as the probable amusement of seeing what Frieza's own personal hell looked like, but I enjoyed myself greatly. Sure, it was no Battle of Gods in terms of its impact on the culture, and just being a completely unique film that came out of nowhere, I was still entertained by Resurrection F, and it was a very compelling revival of one of the show's most infamous characters. However, the same cannot be said for the TV adaptation, oh no. The Battle of Gods arc in Super was okay, despite having tremendously questionable dips in animation quality. But the Resurrection F arc suffered from this as well as a lack of freshness. Between me seeing the Resurrection F movie and the Resurrection F TV arc was just a matter of months, maybe even just 2 or 3. You would think that getting the chance to have 14 episodes to explore what you originally had in the equivalent of 6 would be a boon for the story. There were certain elements in the movie that I felt needed more explanation, that they kind of skipped over it, and now we found out about Super, we would just be thinking, oh that's okay, they'll explain that in the TV series. But it never really happened. The biggest issue being the lack of explanation for Super Saiyan Blue. With Super Saiyan Gold in Battle of Gods, we got the backstory, the procedure, and the execution all in one. That was great, but in Resurrection F, all we got was just the presentation, some kind of execution, and not much else. And the anime wasn't that much better. Quite the letdown, I must say. Okay, so then we get to the main problem, and it's been something that we've said time and time again throughout these discussions. The animation. You see, the biggest plus for the Resurrection F movie was the quality of the animation. Excluding the CGI Frieza soldiers, I think that was a little ahead of its time. Maybe you should have just left that to Polygon Pictures, Toei, they know what they're doing when it comes to that. It won huge critical acclaim by animators across the world, and thanks to that, it made the impact of Golden Frieza much more significant. To try and emulate that quality down to a budget of a TV series was going to be a hard task in of itself, but when you couple that with the fact that some of the most expert animators in Toei's roster were busy doing other things, because they didn't want to be working on the same thing again and chose to instead work on the One Piece film, it suffered. I think we fans across the land can say that we kind of liked the Resurrection F movie, we thought it was pretty good, but the arc itself, oh, in comparison that sucked. It's quite clear that Toei listened to all the blowback and the backlashes that came from the Resurrection F arc, because the next arc, the Universe 6 arc, managed to pick things up for Super at a time that it desperately needed it. That was the first time in over 6 months that we saw something new, not a rehash of a movie. They had to hit the ground running, and thankfully they did. From there, Super has been able to gain a lot more traction in the anime community, as it's steadily been improving in its quality and its delivery. Obviously with quite a few noticeable stumbles along the way. So what I think is the real reason that Frieza's returned is that Toei wants to have a second go at trying to do what they failed to do in the Resurrection F arc. Make Frieza scary. Yeah, Frieza did have his moments in the Resurrection F arc, but they were kind of tinged with the hint of predictability because we'd seen this all before in the movie, and then what was replaced from the movie to the TV series, it lacked any kind of peril. It was ever changing in terms of quality and integrity. Now that Super's gained some more artistic flair, as well as being a higher priority in Toei's schedule, plus it's now got a new atmospheric direction it wishes to go into, I think that Frieza could be used much more masterfully than he was before. Frieza can really strut his stuff in a manner of speaking. Now I remember the backlash that was had when Frieza was revealed to be returning, and you know, it was fair enough. We were understandably burnt by Toei by his arc, and we were worrying that we were just gonna get the same as we did before. A huge slab of half-baked Freezy Doodle. But fear not, I don't think we will. Right from when we first saw Frieza back in episode 93, it was clear that Frieza's return was a lot more polished. That was the Frieza that we all knew and loved? There was that feeling of mystery, nervous intrigue, and just tension from when we actually saw Frieza for the first time back in Dragon Ball Z. That only continued into episode 94, and when we first saw Golden Frieza transform, oh man, that was good. It was pushing the boundaries, and actually it was on par with the quality of the Resurrection F movie, if not slightly better, in terms of its impact and just pizzazz. Episode 95 rolled along, and then we got the substance to match the style. Frieza was cold and cruel, despite standards and practices getting in the way. Nevertheless, the anime was able to get around all those problems and truly show what Frieza is all about, being the worst of the worst. Even Goku is aware of this and laments his own belief that Frieza could possibly change the way he is. I would feel sorry for Goku right now, but him even thinking about just for a nanosecond that Frieza would actually toe the line and become good is just wrong. It's just not in his nature. Then we have Frieza's motivation for the Tournament of Power. He actually has one. And no, it's not just to be resurrected, that's kind of lame on its own. What is added to the mix is his lust to actually match the power of the gods as well as disrupt the status quo. He can sense the vulnerabilities and the foibles of the gods. The gods in Super are incompetent, extremely infallible, and prone to catastrophic disasters. The message that Super's trying to convey is that the gods have had it cushy for a long time, and they're now about to get disrupted by the mortal realm. Not just from Goku, but from Frieza as well. With the Universe Survival Arc just about to begin, Frieza's position in the Universe 7 team is looking a lot more compelling ever since it was found out that we were about to get his reintroduction. Now that we can actually gain a sense of his place in the story, I'm excited about how the directors of the series are going to be treating Frieza in the weeks to come. This arc is going to be a far more worthy tribute to the Galactic Emperor. We can thankfully forget the Resurrection F arc and then Lord episodes 93 to 95 as being the absolute peak of Frieza's power and presence. Let's just hope he can get a few more episodes to actually really show what he's made of. In my opinion, the Universe Survival Arc is truly Frieza's second chance. So what do you guys think? Do you think this is Frieza's second chance in Super? Are you still mad that he's back? Leave a comment below and let's get this discussion going. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. Until the next one, be sure to like and subscribe. Catch you later.